That's one. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A few announcements. Before that, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. You mostly probably know brother Anwar Tawfiq. He passed away in Makkah. You probably a lot of you know that he used to be very involved in INT and the college masala. Please make dua. Uh, and some dua request. Brother Shibli Sadek, one of our board member, he is having some cancer treatment going on, so please make dua for him. Uh, Also, Taha Ashraf, 16 years old, suddenly have serious migraine pain and nothing helping, so make dua for him. You all know what is going on with the Home Depot parking lot. So please, if you park in the Home Depot parking lot, use the McDermott exit and in an exit, because do not use the Waters Road entrance. Also, if you walk, be careful and then wait for the volunteer instruction how to cross it. So we don't want to disturb their customer. Also, the humble request for the kids 10 and under is stay downstairs for the sister side, and no food in the masjid in any carpeted area. Um, IA, our masjid will having the first ever Shuhur festival on Wednesday, April 19th from 10:30 p.m. to all the way to the 4 a.m. And we'll have a lot of vendor, henna, and then also food truck and stuff like that. So please plan to join. Um, Also, we will have a project Sprout training registration, which is going to be on April 12th, 4:30 to 6:30. Um, Please pay your fitra fidya. It is $10 per person. You can pay cash or in the mohid. Father Son Kiam, 4/7, which is today, 10:15 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. I believe this is already caps out. Mother daughter Kiam on 4/8, 11:15 to 1 a.m. Iftar after work under the stairs, which is 418. So these are all the information you can see in our website, allenmasjid.com, or you can go one of those hallway TV has a running this. We have some dates left still. You can purchase those on the hallway. Big one is 55, and the small box is $30, and it some proceed goes to the masjid on construction. Also, if you plan to go to Ittikaf, please contact Brother Afroz here. He have a list. You can sign up. That is all for now. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على السلام. حي على السلام. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. الحمد لله. الحمد لله نحمده نستعينه ونستغفره نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I bear witness that there is no one worthy of worship but Allah, our sustainer, our creator, our cherisher, our nourisher, the one who has created us and who has sent us in this world for a short and appointed time. And after that time is up, after the time is over, we will all be returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us this beautiful month. Alhamdulillah. Are we making enough shukr to be able to be alive and experiencing this beautiful month? The shukr and gratitude from our heart that emanates through our speech and our actions and our behavior. And what type of gratitude do we show up with as we enter the masjid and say, Allah, you granted me the ability to be in your house in this beautiful month of Ramadan, or be with my family and do suhoor or iftar together, or come and pray. What type of feeling, what type of experience are we having? So as we get to this middle of Ramadan, we start seeing this lack of energy and the dip, right? And this is the time when we try to find that energy, gather that energy, renew that intention, and get ready for the last 10 nights. But this is a time for us to reflect and have that beautiful attitude of how and what we should be showing up with. What is our hook? What's our emotion? What are our feelings when we are connecting with this month and all of the different activities of this month? What is this لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ that Allah granted us this month so that we can cultivate taqwa, we can cultivate mindfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we become more mindful? How do we become more conscious of Allah? How do we know that we're cultivating taqwa? This month is not just about the quality, but this month is also about adding this month is not just about the quantity, but also adding the quality. It's not just about what you do, but who you become through this beautiful month of Ramadan. Mindful Ramadan, a Ramadan of taqwa, a Ramadan of God consciousness, is not just adding a lot of good deeds without mending our relationship with people and without mending our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But rather, a mindful Ramadan is when we are returning to Allah, when we are mending our relationship with Allah, we're mending our relationship with people, and we're cleansing our hearts first. Because you don't just beautify, a dress or a shirt or a jacket if there is filth on it. You first have to cleanse it, and then you beautify it, then you put perfume on. So you have to cleanse. We have to cleanse our heart before we start beautifying and adding to that. A mindful Ramadan a Ramadan of taqwa is not just primarily being concerned about the quantity of ibadah, the number of rakats, the pages of the Quran, the dhikr repetitions, the repetitions of dhikr. All of these things are important. These quantities are important. But what's even more important is focusing on the quality and experience of your ibadah. Are we experiencing that consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Mindful Ramadan, a Ramadan of taqwa, is not overindulging in food preparation and intake, right? We have 10 different items in iftar, and then we come to the masjid after 4 rakah, we're like, okay, what's here? There are some treats out there, let's go grab some, right? And how do we be mindful and conscious of Allah in our relationship with food? Because that relationship with food, how we approach food, and how we are aware and how we regulate ourselves with food, it builds taqwa, it builds consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And mindful Ramadan, a Ramadan of taqwa, is not just burning out and trying to, you try to say yes to everything and you're burning out and you're not really able to be present. And rather, it is setting healthy boundaries to cultivate balance and ihsan and excellence in everything we do. Mindful Ramadan is not just fasting from food, drink, and desire, but it's also fasting from the excesses of our limbs and the excesses of the heart. That Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, he teaches us that the second layer, the first layer is to avoid food, water, and drink, but the second layer is the fasting of the limbs, with our eyes and our ears and our tongue and our hands and our legs. Are we fasting with our limbs? And also, how are we fasting from our heart? Fasting our heart from thoughts that take us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or take us away from our best selves. And a mindful Ramadan is not just continuously moving from one activity to another, just jumping from one thing to another because it's the season, right? But it's also about taking time to cultivate personal silence, personal reflections, mindful transitions. If you haven't opened up a journal and if you haven't written anything on it, then you have to do that in the next whatever time we have left, inshallah. You have to open up a journal and you have to say, what takes me away from my best self? What are my biggest distractions and obstacles? And how do I cultivate my best self? You have to write, you have to reflect, you have to read, you have to have this ability to have awareness and accountability. Have the sense of muraqabah and muhasabah, the sense of meditating, contemplating of where I am in terms of my relationship with Allah and my best self, and where do I need to go? What are my distractions? If you don't know your distractions, if you don't know your challenges, we just finished Tarawih and we walk outside and we see people talking to their family in a way that feels like completely against the spirit of what we just did in the masjid. If we're not self-aware how we talk to our spouse and our kids and our families and each other, if we're not self-aware, then what are we really learning? What is this Ramadan doing for me? Because I'm not connecting to this Ramadan in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted me to connect. The Prophet ﷺ said that this Ramadan is supposed to get us Allah. This Ramadan is supposed to get us Allah. That every deed of the son of Adam is multiplied. A single deed is 10 times and up to 700 times. And Allah said, except for fasting. Except for fasting. That it is for me and I will reward it. And some of the muhaddithin and some of the scholars that mention to us that Allah Himself will be the reward. The taqwa and the consciousness and awareness of Allah and the presence of Allah is the reward. What is a bigger reward than that? To have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with us. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to gain in this Ramadan. That true taqwa is when Allah becomes our reward. We experience Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, how do we experience that? That's ihsan, right? An ta'budallaha ka'annaka tarah. Worship God as if you can see Him, as if you can experience Him, as if you can feel Him. And if you cannot see Him, then know that you're within the sight and within the vision, within the proximity of Allah. How do we have that ihsan? How do we have the true la ilaha illallah? That the ilah is the word, is the being, that whenever we're in a difficulty, The first being that we turn to is Ilah. La ilaha illallah, that Allah is the first consciousness and awareness in every difficulty, in every situation. That Musa alayhi salam, when he was approached and Fir'aun got really close and they were about to be taken, and the people said, now we're destroyed, now we're overtaken. And Musa alayhi salam said, قَالَ كَلَّا كَلَّا إِنَّ مَعِيَ رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينَ, that my Rabb, my sustainer is never, He is with me and He will guide me. He's with me. And in the cave, when Rasulullah told Abu Bakr, La tahzan, inna Allah ma'ana, that do not fear, because Allah is with us. Allah is with us. That consciousness, that awareness, that presence of Allah is what we are trying to get in this month of Ramadan. That فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَيَّدَهُ بِجُنُودٍ لَمْ تَرَوْهَا, that Allah had then supported them with tranquility in their hearts. That we will feel a sense of calm even in the most difficult circumstances, because Allah is with me. Allah will guide me. Allah will show me the way. So the first, how do we cultivate? First and foremost is what do we avoid? To cultivate that taqwa, we have to first ask, what do we not do and what do we avoid? What distractions, what challenges, which behavior and habits, what obstacles are taking me away from cultivating consciousness of Allah, being more mindful, being more present, being more calm, being my best self? What are the obstacles? What are the distractions? What are the habits? My kids are trying to talk to me and I'm on my phone. My wife is trying to talk to me and I'm on my phone. I'm snapping at them because I'm not transitioning between work and family properly. I'm not present. So what am I going to avoid? What am I going to stop? That is a list that you have to make. Nobody can tell you, unless you have to tell yourself. You have to find that about yourself. And you have to bring that mindfulness and awareness of Allah and awareness of who you are. If you do not know yourself, you do not get to God. This is Imam Ghazali and our scholars that told us, if we don't know who we are, what we're doing, if we're not aware, we're not going to be able to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do we do? What do we do? These are the things that we avoid. And what are some things that we can do? Inshallah, I will end with the list of what we can do. How can we cultivate taqwa? How can we cultivate that presence, that mindfulness? Number one, mindful intentions. Taking a moment to make everything, إِنَّمَا أَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ, that every action is by its intention. So everything you're doing can be transformed into coming closer to Allah and feeling God and being in the presence of God. Even you're washing the dishes and you're tying your shoes and you're serving your kids and you're helping with iftar. Whatever you're doing, it can turn into Allah's presence, because that presence of Allah fuels your intention. That intention fuels the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gets you closer to Allah. Mindful intention. Number two, mindful eating. Food, excessive eating, completely against the spirit of that mindfulness and consciousness and awareness of Allah. So rectifying a relationship with food, making the right intention when you're approaching food, really important. There's entire books that our scholars have written on our relationship, curbing that desire for food and that helping ourselves, cultivating ourselves with hunger. Our scholars have written pages and books about it. Now there's modern psychology researching about our relationship with food, nutrition, mindful eating. But this is something that our deen has taught us way before, long time ago. That what is mindful eating? What is conscious eating? Number three is that slow down during wudu. Slow down during wudu, because wudu is the time, if you cultivate the mindfulness of Allah in wudu, then you're going to be showing up with mindfulness in salah. If you cultivate mindfulness in wudu, then you're going to slow down and you're going to show up with mindfulness in your Quran, in the masjid. Slow down in your wudu and say that this is my time to now reflect and connect with Allah. As you're washing your face, washing your hands, every limb, visualize that cleansing. The Prophet said that when you make wudu, that sins are forgiven to the point that sins are falling off. The hadith says, from your fingernails. The sins are coming off of your fingernails. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purifying and cleansing your body and your soul through this wudu. And this wudu is a separate worship. It's a separate ibadah, because of which Allah will grant us the ability to have radiance and brilliance on our limbs, through which the Prophet will recognize us. Slow down in your wudu. What type of wudu do you have to make? that when you finish your wudu and when you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, that all the 8 gates of Jannah will open. What type of wudu do you have to make? That all 8 gates of Jannah, the Prophet said, all 8 gates. How? Is it that type of wudu when you go and you turn the water on and just and you're done and you run? That's the wudu? What type of wudu will open the doors of Jannah? Do that wudu. And third, we said mindful intentions, mindful eating, mindful wudu, and mindful salah. Focusing in our salah. Focusing in our salah. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah mentions the hudur al-qalb, the presence of heart, is the prerequisite for khushu. How do we cultivate a presence of heart? How? One of the things that I would say is to that gather your attention, just let go of everything else you're doing, at least remind yourself that I'm going to try to make mindful salah. I'm going to try to have khushu. If you even say to yourself that I'm going to try and you make that intention before every 2 rakah, you will have a shift and work. When your mind wanders, bring it back. Keep bringing it back. Like flexing your muscle, you're flexing your attention. You're learning and you're training your attention to come back to Allah. If you try, Allah will open the path, open the doors. And then mindful Quran. One thing you can do is that in every rak'ah, at night, when you're praying behind the Imam, think about, can I at least try to understand? If I don't understand all of the verses, can I understand even one verse? I'm going to keep searching for that one verse that I understand. Or just a few words of a verse that has Allah's names that I understand, and I will connect to that verse. I will connect to the meanings of those words. Look for that verse. If you do that for every rak'ah, for 8 rak'ah times 30 days, how many verses have you connected with in the month of Ramadan? 240 verses. Just one verse in every rak'ah. If you cannot do every verse, try to look for that one verse. When you're reading Quran at home, try to look for that one word in every ayah. I don't understand this ayah, but is there a word that I understand? How can I connect to this word? What type of emotions can I have? And then mindful afkar, doing your dhikr in the morning and evening, doing your du'as, your tasbihat with your families. You know, the masnoon afkar after Fajr and Maghrib, doing it with your families together. Bismillahi alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi, a'udhu bi kalimatillahi tam. All of these, the sunnah afkar of Fajr and Maghrib, do them loudly together with your family, especially with your kids. And from time to time, review the meanings with your kids. That will really bring you together as a family. The afkar in the morning and evening. And then finally, show the mindfulness and taqwa of Allah in your character. In your character. Show it through your character and service, starting with your family. Starting with your family. Really, really important. Start with your family, the character and service, gratitude and compassion and the patience and the humility. Inni sa'im, the Prophet said, anyone tries to argue or tries to distract, inni sa'im. Everyone please come closer. There's a lot of gaps. We come closer, there are brothers standing in the back. Come closer. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the tawfiq to cultivate a mindful Ramadan where we're cultivating taqwa and the consciousness, mindfulness and awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, what do we avoid? What distraction, obstacle, challenges take us away from our best self and from Allah? And again, what are some things we cultivate that takes us closer to Allah, takes us closer to understanding the taqwa, feeling Allah, experiencing Allah? Deen, if you teach them at do's and don'ts to your kids, they're not going to understand deen. If you, after do's and don'ts, take them and make them feel and experiencing God and love God, that experience and that love and that connection will bring them back. May Allah grant us all the tawfiq, inshallah. Astaghfirullah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina. Na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina. Inna Allah malaikatahu. Qala Allah ta'ala fi al-Qur'an al-Kareem. Ba'd a'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan ar-rajim. Inna Allah malaikatahu yusalluna 'ala an-nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu 'alayhi wa sallimu taslima. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. As you send salawat to the Prophet ﷺ, ask your kids, what are you thinking about when you say salawat? What do you feel? What do you visualize? What do you think when you say salawat? Do you ever visualize wanting to meet the Prophet by Hawd al-Kawthar, seeing his beautiful smile and giving him a hug, shaking his hands, being close to him, visiting his masjid? What do you feel when you say salawat? This is the month of Ramadan, is a season for additional frequent salawat, especially on Fridays. May Allah grant us tawfiq. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the tawfiq. We'll ask Allah, Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha. Allah grant our nafs, our soul, ourselves, this deep sense of taqwa and mindfulness and consciousness of you, Ya Allah. Wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha. Purify our soul, purify our nafs. Purify us, Ya Allah, because Anta khayru man zakkaha. You are the best of those who purify. Anta waliyuha mawlaha. You are its protector, you are its guardian. Ya hayyu ya qayyum, bi rahmatika nastaghiz. We ask shelter, refuge. You know, this is 17th of Ramadan. We are just passing through this season where Battle of Badr happened, and the Prophet ﷺ was in dua to Allah. A lot of du'as. Du'as are one of those most beautiful ways to connect to Allah. Making a lot of du'as to Allah in this month. And Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, he all night was crying and asking Allah, O ever living, ever sustaining, bi rahmatika nastaghiz, bi rahmatika astaghiz, aslih li, aslih lana shana kulla. Allah, rectify all our affairs, wala takilna ila anfusana tarfata ayn. Do not leave us to our ego, to ourselves, even for a blink of an eye. Always be with us. Never leave us to shaitan and to ego. Allah, be with us and be with us and be present with us. Allah is present. Are we present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? May Allah grant us tawfiq. Alhamdulillah, may Allah accept all our du'as this beautiful month of Ramadan. May Allah protect us from all the worries, anxieties, difficulties, challenges we ask protection from. May Allah grant us all the khair that the Prophet asked for in this world and the hereafter, and protect us and save us from all of the difficulties the Prophet asked protection from. Ameen. Ameen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa aqim as-salat. Is there any hafiz in the gathering? Any hafiz in the gathering?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
La ilaha illallah. Straighten your lines. Stand shoulder to shoulder. Come close to one another. Salawat. Allahu Akbar. Subhanak ismuk. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنات عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارك مسفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده لك الحمد كثيرا. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. تحيات السلام. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله. استغفر